welcome to this week's Ag Report. This week, we're going to kind of give you kind of an update so that maybe you're traveling around the county, Ellis County, and you're kind of looking and going, well, I wonder what these farmers are up to, wonder what the ranchers are up to, that kind of stuff. So I'll give you some little tidbits of what is going on so that as you're seeing it, you might remember and go, oh, okay, I remember they talked about that. So we're now in the last of June, fixing to come to July. So our wheat harvest is just about wrapped up. There's a couple of guys that are just buttoning up a couple of fields, but for all practical purposes, wheat is pretty well wrapped up. That would mean soft wheat and hard wheat. We grow both those varieties here. We only grow winter wheat, which means it was planted last October, grew all winter, and then we're harvesting it now. We don't raise any spring wheat around here. And there were a couple of patches of oats around, but usually those are for personal use, something like that. Some folks are keeping those oats to feed, but the wheat is generally sold commercially and will be coming to a store near you in the form of bread or your favorite pastries or donuts, that kind of stuff. So after that wheat's done, you may see some big square bales, usually around 4 foot by 4 foot by 8 foot, being baled up in some of these wheat fields. That will be going to a mushroom plant and coming back to you in the form of mushrooms very shortly. Doesn't take too long for that to turn around. So the next time you go to the store and you buy your favorite mushrooms, if they are Monterey mushrooms, a lot of that wheat comes right here from Ellis County that they turn into compost to grow those mushrooms. And so maybe the next time you go down to Living Earth to buy some compost for your flower beds, again, that was wheat straw from here in Ellis County and other counties, but there's a good bit that comes from here that'll be going right back into your flower bed. So you may see some sunflowers. They're in full bloom right now. You may see some of those around. You may also see a yellow plane kind of dusting those sunflowers. They're looking for some head moths, that kind of stuff, to prevent the bugs from eating those valuable seeds. Now, I want to pause for a second and just say those sunflowers, they look really pretty. They're very picturesque. And most farmers do not mind you going and taking pictures in their sunflowers. But remember, please don't pick the sunflowers. I know it may sound kind of trivial and you think, oh, it's just one sunflower. But if you get a couple of hundred people coming out to fields picking a couple hundred heads, that adds up to a good bit of money to that producer. And remember, for the last 3 or 4 years, the ag economy has really been struggling. So it means a whole lot to these guys that every one of those sunflowers gets in that truck and in that tank so that they can get paid on it. So just keep that in mind. Like I say, tread lightly, take pictures, but try not to trample any of their crop and try not to pick that crop on there. We would greatly appreciate it. So let's go on to corn. There's 2 crops of corn growing. Okay, we have early planted corn last February. It's already tasseled. Those ears are filling out, just about to dent, probably something like that. Got some potential there for the crop. Now we have been about 3 weeks without any rain at this time, so that is going to tip that back a little bit. But that crop was pretty far down the road when it kind of hit the drought. Now let's talk about the young corn, probably planted around April the 15th, something like that. That crop is trying to tassel right now. It is in its high point of water usage, and unfortunately it is dry. So when you're driving around in the afternoon hours, you probably notice that plant is curling or wilting a little bit. That is stress on that plant, meaning it does not have enough water for what it is trying to do. So that plant is deciding, what kind of ear it's going to put on. And unfortunately, under those kind of stressors, it's not going to be too good. So we could really use some rain. There is no rain in the forecast that I've seen, but anything can kind of happen. So that's the younger corn that you see. It really is pretty thirsty. So we're going to move on to Milo, maize, grain sorghum. Same thing. Depends really on what generation you come from is what you call it, and maybe where you grew up in this great country to what you call it. But it's pretty much the same thing. Most of the time, that's going to have a reddish bronze head to it. There is some cream colored Milo. You don't see that too often, but generally a red head on there. Probably going to see those heads starting to ripen up here shortly. Most of it is starting to emerge, which means it's pushing up out of that plant and pollinating. It'll start off green. It'll have a little yellow pollen to it, and then it will start to ripen. Again, the farmers are going to be looking for midge, which is a bug that gets in there and lays its eggs and then destroys that seed. So it's very important that we manage that so that it doesn't decimate that crop. And then, of course, your ranchers, they're in full swing baling hay. They may be baling some grass hay, a lot of Sudan, hay grazer, high gear, all kind of the same thing, but it's a leafy plant, a crop that is planted. It'll look similar to corn. It'll get tall with the right nutrients and water, but it makes a really good feed. Has to lay on the ground for quite a bit to dry out so that moisture gets below 14%, something like that, to bale for hay. Unless you're going to do a ensilage bale, those big marshmallow bales, if you're going to do some marshmallow farming, you can bale that in the 30% range. So maybe you're going to see some of those marshmallow farms popping up here before too long. So that's kind of a snapshot of what you're going to see going around Ellis County as you're driving. Busy time of year. Yep, it is dry. That's good for hay production, bad on crop production, bad on hay when you're trying to grow another crop on there. But we'll do the best we can with what we're given. So I just wanted to give you this kind of update of what things are. As always, if you have questions, maybe you're out driving around and you see some of those marshmallow bales and you have more questions about it, reach out to the Waxahachie Sun. We'll be happy to get you some answers there. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Y'all enjoying the scenery around Ellis County. Y'all take care now.